Good morning, Wall Street winners. It is Thursday, January 30th, and we are in for another big earnings day. Unfortunately, the main headline right now is a midair collision between a helicopter and an airplane over the Washington, D.C. area that has left no survivors. So, that is some sad news to be discussing, and there's a press conference going on right now talking about that. They're trying to, they'll be looking into what happened and trying to get to the bottom of that. And that is definitely devastating for everyone involved. So our hearts go out to those that were involved and affected by that, and hopefully we can avoid those things going forward. Um, we don't have any update on getting back to finance. We don't have any update on Trump's plans for tariffs. So the market is still waiting on that news. If we take a look at the markets and the futures, you can see that two of the three indices are in the green. The Nasdaq is up the most. We've had some good earnings come out yesterday. Bit of a mixed bag for sure, but overall pretty positive. In fact, some kind of weird things happen, and we'll talk about that as we move forward here today. The S&P 500 is up as well, a quarter of a point, so not too bad. And the Dow is just slightly off. I think the Dow's going to come back. We'll have to wait and see what happens when the markets open. We're still a few hours out from when those markets do open. If we flip over to the Yahoo Finance app and take a look at the stocks we follow, let's start at the top. And at the top, you've got crude oil bouncing around as it always does, just below or in the midpoint of $72. So 72.53, it's down 9 cents, 10 cents, not a significant amount, but it has come off of a high of $80. So this is quite strange to see a move of $8 in the course of probably about a week's time. Maybe a little longer, but not much. And then we've got your Russell 2000, the 10-year bond, the VIX. The VIX is down 53 points, or 0.53 points. So it's down at around 16. This is a good sign because Monday this thing flew back up pretty high into the high teens and then into the 20s, and it has come down. So that's positive. We want to see this below 16 ideally. Ideally in the 15, 14, 15 range would be great with some good earnings and growth and a positive economy. Where we look for some opportunities. If we look into health and retail, Costco is slowly climbing back, as is Lululemon. So these are two interesting ones to take a look at. Walmart's had a bit of a blowout week in that, a good week in that when everything went down on Monday, it went up. And that could be because it's a consumer or user of AI, and it's not going to be, it's going to be benefiting from the DeepSeek changes or price reductions that we're likely going to be seeing, and the economization of AI as a service. And then we go down further, we've got Home Depot kind of in that 410, mid 410 range at 413. I'm waiting for this to drop down to the low 400s prior to earnings. I think it's going to do well at earnings, Home Depot, but I think it's already kind of climbed up. So I want to see it pull back a little bit. So we'll wait and see what happens there. Healthcare, not a lot to talk about. Transport, same thing, not a lot to talk about. Get down to oil. Now we have some of the oil companies starting to report this week. So end of day today, we've got Valero. Valero's been hovering at this 140 range, having a hard time breaking through resistance at 140. Looks like, or 140, low 140s. Looks like it's going to try to break through it this morning, and we'll see whether it holds. And then at the end of the day, when the earnings come out, we'll see whether it is positive or not. The expectations on earnings are not great here. I mean, they had a banner year a couple years ago, and last year, not so great. Still profitable, but not great. I mean, they were record profits 2 years ago. Last year was profitable, but much, much lower. They're just hoping that their analysts are forecasting that these oil stocks come in and start to catch up again to that record year. We've got Exxon and Chevron, I believe, reporting reporting on Friday, right tomorrow. And so we'll be watching those. I'm not doing much in the oil field or sector these days. My focus has been almost exclusively on technology, and we got hit hard on Monday, but it was a huge opportunity that ended up being very profitable for the week. And I'm getting back into that today. I've been in it every day, but we've got applied materials, a little bit of a bump here in the pre-market. That doesn't mean it's going to stick, but we did have some great record. We had some great news out of ASML in the Netherlands yesterday, and good sales and bookings numbers. And I think that's going to positively impact the other semis in the US, although NVDL is off slightly, but it is looking like it could make a comeback here. Micron looking like it's going to break 90 there, which is a good sign. It's moving upwards. CrowdStrike, Pan W, and Net have all had a pretty good start to the week. They all shot up on Tuesday, Wednesday, and then they came off Thursday. So I'm not sure what caused the bump in the cybersecurity firms to begin with, but they've now started to come off of that. Apple reports after the market closed today, so that will be one that is very closely watched. And then we get down to Microsoft. Microsoft is down. It didn't have great numbers. It was close to expectations, but it didn't beat it. It was off on its cloud numbers and its cloud growth, which was the probably its biggest area of growth other than AI. So that took some steam out of the sale or some wind out of the sails there. And it is off 18 this morning, but still in the 442s. I mean, it was jumping up into the 460s, and it to maintain that kind of price and valuation, it needed to have better numbers. So it's not really getting beat up that badly, which is a good thing. Um, you've got the other big one yesterday was Meta and Lam Research. So Lam Research, good numbers. It's up $5 in the pre-market, so that's positive. It was floating $3 to $5 yesterday. IBM had some great numbers, beat expectations. This was kind of a sleeper. I didn't talk about this a lot yesterday, and I regret that because it was the sleeper out of all of them, and it's up $18. We then get down into the one that was very late to report, and that was Meta. Meta was almost an hour after 4 o'clock. It was unusually late to report, and it dropped huge on the news. But then, as people dove into it, it recovered and it's up $8 or $8.50. Tesla reported. Tesla's numbers missed, and yet it is up in the pre-market. So this one to me is a puzzling one. And when I said earlier that some weird things happened, a lot of these stocks, they dropped initially. Well, Meta, I'll use as an example. Meta dropped down into the I'm going to say 630, 640 range, maybe even lower, maybe to 620. And then within a few minutes corrected and was then down $4 or $5, and then it was up 8, 10, now $11 this morning. So looks like some positive looking forward guidance from Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO there and founder of Facebook. So it's coming out all roses right now. A lot of things hinging here on Meta with AI and their AI investments, but also on what they're going to be doing and how those investments are going to be panning out in the Ray-Ban sunglasses with the kind of like the HoloLens integration there, so that they're trying to move consumers away from their iPhone over to a pair of we'll call them embedded glasses, where you can see everything through the lenses, like you can everything you'd see on your phone through the glasses. So that will be very interesting to see what comes out of that. And Tesla is up because of the whole robo-taxi thing, but they're falling further and further behind in the robo-taxi area. Waymo from Google has got way more robo-taxis out there than Tesla does. So it's just a lot of talk right now from Tesla, and we really need to see some results and some action there. NVIDIA off slightly. I still think it's a steal right now at 123.70, and it looks like it's going to drop slightly going into the open. Google, I expected if Meta's results were good, good that Google would pop. Now, Google results or Alphabet results are announced next week, so there's still an opportunity for them to go up. I do think it will hit 220 next week on earnings because I do believe the earnings will be very good. The other thing that's still in the wind and undecided, thanks to Trump, is the decision to ban TikTok or to have TikTok bought. There's rumors that Microsoft is in talks to buy it. I'm sure Google and Facebook are also in talks. I don't know that for a fact, but I would have to make that assumption that they've expressed interest. Um, but whether that service gets shut down or not will have an impact, good or bad, on Google and Meta for sure, as well as other companies. But I think those will be the two that are affected the most. And if it is shut down, I think it'll be very positive for those two companies. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. And then we've got down into that's basically finance, or sorry, tech there. So down into finance, we have SoFi. SoFi's not had a great week after earnings. The earnings weren't really that bad, but they got hit a little bit. I still really like SoFi at $16. I think they're going to have another record year this year, and I think there's a lot of room for movement in this stock. If they get some good numbers out in the second quarter that are slightly ahead of their annual forecast, I think this thing is really going to pick up some steam and start to increase in price. And then we get into the others. Yesterday was a bit of a mixed bag, mostly in the red, but some, and if they were in the green, it was only slightly. Uh, I don't see a lot of opportunity here right now. I think prices are pretty elevated. We had a tech pullback on Monday due to DeepSeek. I think we're going to see another sector pullback, this one more in non-tech sectors coming. And that could be due to tariffs on February 1st. So let's keep an eye out for that and see what happens. But I'm a little skeptical and a little nervous. I think there's too much risk based on the elevated prices here. I'm waiting for a pullback in some of these finance. Now, one of them that looks like it's pulling back, but it's a pre-market number, so it really doesn't mean anything, is MTB. So seeing MTB down $8 or 4% in the pre-market, that's an interesting one there. I'm going to keep an eye on that at open and see what happens. If it was Goldman, which is in the $600 range, and it's up $8, less of a red flag, but down $8, there might be something to that. So I'm going to drill into that a little bit more. So that's where we are today on the 30th. Good luck with your trades. Keep your eyes on earnings after the market today and watch the trends in the actual indices. If you're buying into a stock, let's say it's a tech stock, and the indice, which would be the NASDAQ, is moving upwards, and that stock has gone in the opposite direction, but it's a good company, let's say Google, and there's no news out on it, look at buying into that stock and seeing if it gets pulled up with the overall index rising. So look for trends in the actual stocks. I like to use the Yahoo app, finance app, to do that. I trade a ton off of my phone throughout the day and or look for opportunities to trade on my phone throughout the day. You don't need a huge trading setup to do this. So that's the tip of the day. Good luck in your trades, and we'll talk to you later.